Okay, again, the last thing we left off with was, of course, this banana. I'm going to shrink it down to get just like any other piece of artwork inside of Illustrator. You know, a bitmap or a picture is the same thing. You just can take your selection tool and you can shrink it down if you want it. I'm not going to have it this big, but kind of put it in the corner. So let me bring in the rest of the other artwork and then we'll make the columns of text. Remember the guidelines? We talked a little bit about that last class and how that can help you line things up. So let me bring in my other art. I have some other pictures. Again, an easy way to bring in your art is by using the place option. And if you want to be a little organized, of course, you could probably organize your content into multiple layers. In the long run, that will save you. Look, everything's all jammed into one layer right now, so that's pretty bad. What I probably should have done, again, is you can make a new layer right here by create new layer and take all my my images and images, and I might put them all in there. So if I have images, I can take my, this is a TIFF. Notice how it's made it as a TIFF. Wow. If you never know what a TIFF is, I don't know why it made it a TIFF, but that's okay. If you might have never seen this format before, but like a JPEG or a PNG or a GIF file, they're all raster files, bitmap files made up of pixels. A TIFF was probably one of the original raster or bitmap files. I was using TIFF probably 92, 93. The advantage of the TIFF is it can have millions of colors, like a JPEG can have millions of colors, but it can be uncompressed. The problem with a JPEG is it's always compressed. It's like you have an MP3. We love our MP3. We can share it to everybody. Hey, listen to your MP3. But it's a compressed audio file, and it's it's not as good as what you can get from a CD or something. A TIFF can be an uncompressed image file. So it's not losing data. The original pixels are in there. They're original. They're not compressed. So TIFF is a great format for doing bitmap images because it's uncompressed. Where once you go to a JPEG, you start removing data and losing data. And so I don't know why it made it a TIFF. It just did it automatically when I copied and pasted it from Photoshop. I didn't really do anything, did I? I don't think I did. But that's okay. It's fine. I can leave it as a TIFF. I'm going to drag it into my images folder here, though, so it's in there. And so I'm going to select my images folder before I bring my other artwork in so that they all go into that folder when I'm bringing them in. So if I go underneath File, Place now, File, Place is how you bring them in. You can find your images. I have some nice, I like the flowers. We have, we got to have Madonna in there. That's always a good one. So we're going to place her in. Now don't worry about size. Somewhat you can draw the box the size you want. Again, it's going to be kind of, I'm going to kind of not make it too big and not too small. I'm going to try and make things that are similar in size. Now, I mean, that's kind of boring. This is about the same size as this, but the reason why I'm keeping it kind of small is so when I wrap my text, I'm going to have two columns of text like this. So I want to be able to have the text kind of wrap on the side. If you make it too big, you don't want to have a column of text that has, you don't want to have a really big picture here and then having the text wrap around and then only a few little words like this, right? Okay, you want to have at least 2 or 3 words over here or it looks kind of funny. You don't have a... So that's why I didn't make it so big, but you can actually have an image go maybe the full thing, maybe. That might not be too bad. So let's think about that for a moment. I'm going to have 2 columns of text in my project. Maybe a great way to go about before I even start. I know I'm bringing in my images. I know I haven't stopped yet, but I'm thinking about now I'm going to put some guidelines in the middle. Right? I'm going to put a guideline in the middle. Remember, this is a 11 by 17. So what's half of 11? 6.5 or 5.5? 5.5. There we go. 5.5. So if I'm going to put a guideline right in the middle, again, you can, if you want to put guidelines on, you need the rulers up. These are the rulers. So you can bring up rulers by going under the View, Rulers. Hide or Show Rulers is right here. You can put your cursor in the ruler, drag it on out. Now, when you're dragging the ruler out, oh, jeez, it started going crazy on me here. If you bring up the info window, and I don't see the info window right now. Let me do it again. Let me start again. If you bring up one called the info window right here, see where it says info right here? The info window is nice because what it does is it gives you information of where your cursor is located in the artboard. So as I move, look, see how it, oh, well, when you drag something, here we go. No, that's not changing, is it? Usually, why is it not changing? Well, I guess we can guess. This is 4, this would be 5 right here. This would be 5.5, this would be 6. This is 5.5 right here. I don't know why. Oh, 5. Now, after I let my mouse up, now it tells me it's 5.4975. Very close to 5.5. Okay, so the info window does help. It just, I thought it would change as you were moving it. For some reason, I don't know why. It wasn't changing. Okay, so I have one that's halfway across the screen. Okay, but that's not really what I want. What I want is I'm going to make another guideline where I want the column to start and where I want the column to finish. Notice over here I have a 1/4 inch right here and a 1/2 inch. And then a 1/2 inch in from the edge. The 1/4 inch is so the paper is going to be printed because the printer won't go all the way to the edge anyways. You kind of need that 1/4 inch there. This is where my column's going to start, 1/2 inch. Okay, so if I want a 1/2 inch in the middle, what I really want is a 1/2 inch between the two columns in the middle of the document. So right now I have one line in the middle, which is fine, cool to have a line in the middle. But I'm going to make another line, another guideline that's going to be kind of here, which would be a 1/4 inch from the middle right there. And then I'm going to make another guideline that's going to be another 1/4 inch from the middle right there. So doing so, my column of text is going to be here, right? And I'm going to have another column of text here. So by putting the guidelines now, if I want a picture when I bring it in to be all the way across, I can make it all the way across to here. Does that make sense? Okay, it's basically making lines. You can see the rulers where you're lining things up. And then a 1/2 inch between my two columns of text, 1/2 inch on the edge, and a 1/2 inch on this edge.
How do you make that? The video on how to make guidelines is never uploaded to the website web channel, so I was trying to make the guidelines in one.
Which one? The one I made last class?
Yeah, the one with both lectures from Monday and Wednesday in it. It never got on there.
It might have been too big, or somebody came in and stopped it. I don't know. I can't.
I'm trying to make the guidelines, so.
Okay, well, this is the same way I'm doing them here. Okay, so I will try and find a video. I can't upload it right now, but we will.
I'm just trying to figure out how to do the guidelines.
Okay. Okay, let me bring the other images in, and we'll talk about linking images. So I got some more images. I'm going to go inside Image Place, File Place, and we're going to have kind of like this one that shows like inside the museum. And so I'm going to kind of drag that across maybe 2 columns all the way across like that. There we go. So that's kind of cool. It was, kind of fit. It's long and skinny. It's going to go all the way across the columns. It's okay. The text can still wrap around it. Okay, the text can still wrap around it. It'll just be above and below instead of on the edges as well. Then we got one more. I got one more I'm going to bring in, and that's about it. I got one more. I guess we should have some more famous ones, but I don't really have any famous ones. We'll bring in a $sign one. It's not quite as famous as the tomato cans or whatever, the soup can, right? And that one I'm going to put kind of like that. Now here's a problem with this one. This image has white around the outside. Okay? See how the border, the selection border is wider than the image? If I click on this one, see how the red is nice and tight? This one, red is nice and tight, the selection area. But this one has, whoever made this picture has white around the outside. So probably one way to fix that would be I'd have to bring it into Photoshop and crop out the white. So how can I go from Photoshop to Illustrator and Illustrator to Photoshop? Well, again, you can copy and paste. I'm going to make it just a little bigger here. So I think you saw that already. If you hit Command C on the keyboard, I can go into Photoshop. So copy is, of course, Command C on the keyboard. And here it goes. It's starting. And there was a program before Photoshop that would do raster graphics that you could do, and it was called a Dycomed system. There was one I remember called Dycomed. I was working for a company in Pittsburgh, and as they were one of their print ads, they had a whale kind of jumping out of the water in the rivers in Pittsburgh. It was made on a Dycomed. That's the name of the software. Okay, if we go under File, New, it should recognize what I copied from Illustrator, hopefully here. The wheel is turning. Hit OK, and then paste. And then paste. We really haven't. I'm not going to go over all these settings right now. I'm just going to say pixels right now. There it is. So once it's in here, I can then go and crop. I can use the crop tool. There's a crop tool inside of there. Let me hit clear here. And I'm going to crop my picture. Oops, little mistake at the top there. It happens to all of us. This is not a very good quality image. I probably should have went with the original one. So let me do that. This is not very good. The mistake that I made was when I brought it into Illustrator, I made it a specific size. Then I copied from that size into Photoshop, and what it did, it took the size that I did in Illustrator and copied it into Photoshop. It's not using the original picture that is actually on the hard drive, which is probably a better quality than this one. So using this, and you can see, if I zoom in, remember we talked about JPEG? If you look at it, it's square and blurry and yucky. So I probably wouldn't. Let's not use this. But there is a way to copy and paste from Illustrator or Photoshop. I think that's my whole point here. Let me open the original up, which is this one. Oh, that's not very good. Look, it's only 194 by 259 pixels. That's a really bad picture. I can't use that. I do like that one, though. Let me find one more. This picture is no good. It's just not high enough quality. Let me find one more. Where we got Marilyn Monroe. Can we get a can we get a can here? Can we get a Coke can? Can we get a can? Well, this one's quite nice with what's her name? Audrey Hepburn. Thank you. This is kind of cool. He's tattooing a Campbell soup on somebody's back. Or I Shot Andy Warhol. What a movie that was. Anybody see that one? Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, this doesn't look like it's actually Andy Warhol, though, is it? Looks like it's somebody faked it. Oh, jeez. Okay. I can't find what I want. Oh. Oh. I just need a. How about Michael Jackson? That's a good one. Okay, this one I'm going to copy and paste. I'm not going to spend all day trying to deal with this. So I'm going to delete this one. Edit, paste. There we go. Okay, so we have some artwork in there. I'm going to move them around a little bit. I'm going to move it around a little bit. So kind of And this one maybe a little bit bigger. And this one's so what I'm trying to do now is just get a feel of how these images will fit on my page. I'm going to kind of spread them out a little bit. And maybe bring this down just a little bit. There we go. Let's bring this down a little bit. There we go. Okay. So I have kind of a nice little grouping. I don't know what the text says because I didn't really write the text, but you're going to write your own text, I hope. So it sounds a lot better than what I'm going to copy and paste from Wikipedia, of course. But here we go. So I'm going to go and make my columns with text. I got some images right now. I got some images in my poster. Again, I'm going to have enough text to go over 2 columns. So you might want to copy if you're... No, don't copy. Try and write your own text. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it inside of... in Word. So I'm going to go to Wikipedia. I'm going to type in my Andy Warhol. And of course we already took the first column there, so I'm going to take some other columns here and I'm going to do it in Word. The reason why I'm taking it and copying and pasting in the Word is I don't want to have any of the formatting come over from Wikipedia with the links and all that stuff. So I'm going to copy and paste the text into Word, strip out all the formatting, and then copy and paste from Word into Illustrator. Okay, now, so in here I can go edit, paste special, and have unformatted text. There we go. I'm going to get rid of the paragraphs. I'm going to leave. Now try and leave the paragraph breaks, because one of the things we're going to talk about inside of Illustrator is how to, because right now I have one paragraph break here. There's a paragraph break. Notice this is a paragraph, that's a paragraph. When we get it into inside of Illustrator, we're going to talk about indenting the first paragraph. Okay, so having that paragraph break actually is a pretty good thing, at least somewhat. What I don't want from Wikipedia, of course, is the links that come over from Wikipedia. So leave the paragraphs if you can. Let's copy a little bit more. Edit, paste special in Word, unformatted text. I want to get rid of these footnotes. Try and organize it a little bit before you get over there, and hopefully you write your own text. Because you want this to be a portfolio piece someday when you're making this fabulous portfolio for you to transfer or try and get a job somehow. And you don't want to be just text that you stole from Wikipedia. You should try and write your own text, so it's something that is your own. Now I know I'm only stealing from the web. I know I'm stealing. Why is there an extra space here? Okay, there we go. So I'm just kind of organizing and formatting the text. I'm going to get one more paragraph here. Let's get some, this looks like it might be good right here. Let's get this one. And then unformatted text. There we go. And let's get rid of the citation. And let's get rid of that. Okay, I got some nice columns of text, or not columns, but a nice sort of body of text. I would say you probably want to have, if you're going to do a big poster like I have at 11 by 17, probably at least this much is what you're going to need. So I'm going to copy all this, copy it all, and I'm going to go back to Illustrator, and I'm going to make my columns of text. So how I'm going to make my columns of text, again, I thought I was demonstrating last class that there's different areas here, okay? I'm just using the normal type tool, the first one that's in the list there. Here's the settings that are the default right now. I'm going to change them to a little bit bigger before I start. And again, you can choose your font ahead of time if you want. Sans serif, serif font, whatever you think is best. Try not to go with crazy fonts. Try and make them readable. You want, the purpose of this, poster is so that people can actually read it, right? You want them to be able to read it. So try and not choose too crazy of a font that is not very readable. I love Verdana, my favorite font, Verdana. So I'm going to go with my Verdana. To make my columns of text, I'm going to use the normal type tool, and I'm going to click on my column on my edge, and let me zoom in briefly here so you can see. Again, I'm going to click on my columns of text here, right here, and notice how it'll kind of snap to the edge. And I'm going to drag, and I'm going to drag on down, not to the bottom, but somewhat like that. Oh, my picture's all the way at the bottom. That's okay. In fact, I might do that again. I'm going to stop before this final image down here, so I don't have to deal with wrapping it around that. I'm going to click and drag again, and I'm going to kind of stop there. Notice how it kind of snaps to the edge of the guidelines. Once it's in there, I'm going to paste my text. To paste my text, I'm going to go under Edit, Paste, and it'll put your text in. Don't worry about formatting yet. Notice how the text runs over the picture. We haven't told it to wrap around the picture yet or anything. Just put your text in there. Okay. Again, I drew a box with the type tool. Then I pasted. Notice there's a little plus at the bottom down in the lower right corner. This little plus right here. What that's telling me is there's more text than can fit in this box. Let's make another column. To make the other column, we click on the little X that's here. See the little plus that's right here? Little plus. Click on the plus. Oh, you got to use the arrow, the arrow tool, whatever this one, selection tool. Click on the plus. Notice the cursor changes after you click on it to look at this cursor right there. It recognizes that you have a column of text, and it's going to make another column exactly the same size. And so I'm going to go up here to the very top, kind of right across from where the other one was, and I'm going to hit the mouse. So I don't have to drag, just click the mouse. And the text kind of ran. Now notice I even have another one, so I have way too much text already. But of course I'm not quite at the bottom. I can drag this down a little bit. Maybe we have enough space. We're going to see. I might have to remove some stuff. Okay, let's go down here. Here we go. I'm going to drag this down just briefly here. There we go. More text. Oh no, I still have more than will fit. How about we go down to here, and we might have to, we're going to have to remove some stuff. I got too much text. But you see how to make two columns, right? You make the first one by dragging, paste the text in there, use the selection tool to click on the little plus and go to the same spot and just click. You don't have to drag, you just click and it automatically makes the other column the same size. Okay, let me remove some of this stuff in here because I'm going to have way too much text in here. So I'm going to delete some text here. Let's delete. There we go. Delete. Okay, that's fine. We can always add a little bit more or remove some. Okay, but once we start wrapping the text, it's going to grow and we might have to change the font size. And yeah, this text is going to need some work. So let's work on it. Again, some of the things I need to do, of course, is wrap the text around the pictures. Change the font size. I'm probably going to change the leading. Remember the space between the characters. Plus I'm going to do an initial letter. And I'm going to indent the first line of the paragraphs. All those things are done in an option called the paragraph option. If you don't see the paragraph option, and usually it's kind of attached to the character option. So inside of Illustrator you have kind of this area called character, paragraph, and open type. And they all do kind of different things. And we'll get to the open type a little bit more when we get to making the mission seal for the NASA thing that we're going to do next. So let's kind of concentrate on these two right now. In this case, you're not seeing all the options, Right now, it's like an Illustrator thing where they actually have more options than what they're showing you. To see more options, if you put your cursor in the upper right corner of this pop-up window, you'll see it says Show Options. Notice that? There's actually more options than what they're showing you. And then it pops up down here where we have some more options. So you might want to do that before you start. Same with the paragraph. It doesn't have any more options, but you get the idea. Okay, so let's do the first thing. We want to wrap the text around the pictures. Wrap the text around the pictures. So when you wrap your text around the picture, what you need to do is actually have, I believe, the picture on top of the text. Okay. I don't know about this version of Illustrator. I'm not sure, but what I mean by that is I think they might have gotten away from having to do that. But in the older versions, I believe the key to wrapping the text around the picture was that the text was underneath. So right now, I did the text after I put my pictures on there, right? So I'm going to go to my triangle here under the Layers window, and I'm going to twirl it down. And I have my 2 columns of text here. I'm going to actually drag them in the layer window below my pictures. Okay, so the pictures are actually on top of there. So again, you can reorder things inside of the layer window. Okay, so I'm grabbing the pictures or the text and dragging it underneath. I believe it's either the text needs to be on top or the pictures need to be on top. I don't know yet. I'll have to try it first. So don't quote me on that quite yet. Okay, now I'm going to select both the columns of text and the pictures. You can select things inside of the layer window. Notice how I'm holding the command key down and I can click. Okay, so I'm command click. I have the pictures selected as well as the text selected. To wrap the text is underneath Object, Text Wrap, Make. We'll cross our fingers. To wrap the text, again, select the columns of text, select the pictures, then go underneath Object, Text Wrap, Make, and it says, yeah, you're going to wrap around the objects. Yeah, I want to say yeah, and hit OK, and it works. We can see it if we zoom in. You can see the text wrapping around the picture here. Now, of course, now I have more text because but I'm going to change the font size. So you can see the text wrapping. You can see the text will wrap around a crazy shape like this, which is a problem because I don't want it to be on this. I want it to be here. This looks nice, but people don't want to read system disease that causes, it's hard to read like that. Okay, so if I had a crazy shape like this, most likely what I would do is get rid of the text that's over here by making this bigger. You see there's like a little line that goes around your object. There's like a little space around the object when you wrap a text. You can adjust that space. Another way of doing it is to make a fake shape. Yes?
Are you familiar with Inkscape?
What's that?
Are you familiar with Inkscape?
Yes?
I'm having to watch a word wrapping.
Oh, I don't know how to word wrap. I know what Inkscape is, but I don't know how to do things like that in Inkscape. You don't have Illustrator?
Not without the crazy touchscreen problem.
What's that?
Not without the crazy touchscreen problem. It's complicated. Like I have to use a different operating system. I can't actually use Illustrator.
Okay, well, you should probably get Illustrator. It would be worthwhile. Inkscape is a little. So let me continue. So I don't know how to wrap text in Inkscape. So let me change the font size. This is really bothering me. I'm going to go down to, I'm going to select my text again, my columns of text. Make sure that they're selected. And I'm going to go to my character window here. This is where you can adjust things. Verdana is just such a big font. It's just a big font. I'm going to go to, how about we go to 13 point, and let's add some extra space. I'm going to go 16 here for my leading size. And let's see what that looks like. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, let me delete some text because it's running way too much here. There we go. Okay, so then that's not too bad. Okay, let's talk about spacing. Oh, let's put our indents in there, right? Let's do that stuff. Let's do that stuff before we mess too much with the there. To indent the first line of a paragraph, because right now you'll notice here where it says Book Illustrator in 3rd grade. This is again a new paragraph, so you want to indent the first line of the new paragraph. You can do that under the paragraph option. Inside the paragraph option, you'll notice there is multiple options to change things. The one that is the second one in the list here, this is to indent, and it's in pixels right now because that's the measurement, so I'm going to put in maybe 7. Hit tab on the keyboard. Oh, that's not enough. Let's go up to usually you want about a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to put in, I'm just kind of guessing here. How about we put in 14? We're going to double the 7. That doesn't look too bad. And so again, indenting the first line, indenting it here. First line here. I'm going to even do, maybe I can do inches. Let me try 0.5. Oof, that's going to be big, but let's try inch. Yeah. Oops, I didn't have it selected. There we go. That's pretty big. How about if I do 0.3 inch? That looks nice. You want it big enough that you can actually tell. And we haven't done an initial letter yet there. Okay, let's talk about moving things around. So we got our indent. We have a nice kind of font with some spacing in it. We got text wrapping around the image. This one looks kind of nice, but the problem is this one doesn't look nice. Why doesn't this one look nice? Well, it kind of has a little bit too much space on top and a little bit too much space on the bottom. This one looks nice because it's nice and tight around both sides. That looks pretty good. The other thing that's kind of bothering me a little bit maybe is the hyphenation. I don't like the hyphenation, like where it says, and produce the velvet underground. See the little hyphenation there? Hyphenation is where, you know, it'll take a longer word when it reaches the edge and then trying to, you know, puts a little line in it and then wraps it around. Okay, you can adjust the hyphenation. You can turn off the hyphenation is right here if you don't want hyphenation. That's this option right here. Again, it's under paragraph. You can turn off your hyphenation. Then the problem with that though is this gets really kind of, yeah. You might want to try doing text that is justified, where it's, you know, the same space on all the way across. That is the middle one right here. This is justified. I would do justified with left aligned bottom one. What that means is the last line in the paragraph. So if you look at these, you can see this is going to justify, but the last line it doesn't want to justify because that looks kind of funny when the last line before the paragraph break. So this one, you might want to see what it looks like. That might be okay. I tend not to because you get this big kind of gutter thing running here. But, you know, that might not be too bad. Now, again, this one is under a paragraph. It's called justify, where it's lined on both sides, right? You're flush left and flush right, and then it puts spaces in between the words to kind of smooth them out. That might not be too bad, especially with, you know, but again, you get these big gaps in here. Big gaps in here. Kind of makes it hard to read. So that was justify. I might go back. Let's try left align. Hyphenation is not bad if you can adjust it. To adjust the hyphenation, there's a pop-up window again in the upper corner of the pop-up window there. Not show more options, but you do have a just hyphenation kind of option in there, and if you click on that, it'll bring up the hyphenation option. In the hyphenation option, you can tell it how many letters before it does the hyphenation. Right now it's at 2. Right? So maybe if you increase that to maybe, you know, 3 or 4 and then hit preview, you'd see, well, that might look a little better. It's hyphenating, but it's not hyphenating with only 2 characters in the word. Does that make sense? Okay. Actually, that looks much better right there. I like that hyphenation. At least that my Velvet Underground is not hyphenated. So that hyphenation is better. I'm going to leave it like that. Again, we still have the problem here. And again, we have some spacing problems here. How I'm going to fix the spacing problem with the Marilyn Monroe is I'm going to move it up a little bit. You can use the arrow keys on the keyboard. There we go. Now that looks much better. So just moving your picture around a little bit might adjust the text around it, and that looks much better. Again, doing that just by moving it around. Now this one over here is a little bit of a problem, the banana here, because you can see it right now. There's like a little red line that goes around. That's sort of the spacing around it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to move this too much with that. A lot of times what I would do with an oddball shape like this is just make a generic invisible shape, basically a shape that has no fill and no stroke, and then wrap the text around that, and that shape kind of is the shape that I want. Does that make any sense? Like here, watch, like, you know, I have this problem here with this text over here. I don't want this text over here. So what I could do is I could just go and use my famous pen tool, because you love the pen tool. I know how much you love that. I can go and make a shape. There we go. Making my shape, making my shape, making my shape, making my shape, making my shape. There we go. Make a crazy shape. Of course, no fill and no stroke. It's invisible. Turn the fill and stroke off. So I made a crazy shape, kind of in the shape that I want. Then I'm going to go and select that shape, and then select my text, and select both columns of text and my shape. Where's my shape? There's my shape. Again, I just made a shape. Has no fill and no color, but kind of in the option I want. And I can go underneath the object, text wrap, make, and it's going to make it around that. There we go. That's what I want. So if you have problems wrapping text around something, just make an invisible kind of object that has no fill and no stroke, and just wrap it around that. Now you'll never see it. It's invisible, but it's there. Now I know this looks funny with this gap down here, but it looks much better. It's much more readable than trying to read through the banana. It's okay to have white space. White space is good. And it's looking a lot better now. Any questions so far? I know I've covered a lot. I'm recording it. You can go back and watch the video again later. Hopefully we can get the other one to get up there too. Okay, let's talk about an initial letter. Again, at the beginning of my document, and you see this in Wired magazine all the time. If you get any, I don't know if I had a Wired magazine here. They always have an initial letter on almost every article that they make. Oh, Gene stole my other one. Maybe if they give me some bookshelves, I'll bring my collection and put it in the new room in the new building. We'll see. So back in 1990, this magazine called Wired magazine came out, and of course, it was one of the first desktop publishing magazines that were all done on the computer. They always have kind of a big shape at the beginning of their articles. Right? They, like there's a giant one right here. It's usually a letter or some kind of shape or number. And so, and then they use little options at the beginning of different paragraphs. Like there's a little 3 with some triangles around it. And look at the 4 right here. See the giant 4 right here at the beginning of their paragraph right there. So doing things like that. Look here, giant J right here at the beginning of this article. It's a giant letter right here. So it's a kind of a design style. Again, I showed you the other day about the old manuscripts, the old Bibles that they used to, the monks used to make. They always do these elaborate drawings to help illustrate the story. And that's about it. But you get the idea. Even here in their list, there are numbers. Look how they make the numbers to, it's like a bullet, or not bulleted, but a numbered list. And instead of having 1, 2, 3, and nice big columns, they got going like this down there. Okay, so think of magazines and design styles. That one's mine. So I'm going to make one at the beginning of my paragraph. So one of the problems that you run into is if you try and just go and make the first letter large, it kind of starts to mess things up. I'll show you what I mean. So if I zoom in and say, okay, at the beginning of my, I want the W here. This is going to be my design. So if I just come over here and I take it and I say, okay, let's just go and make it a different font maybe. Make it a nice crazy font, maybe a little font like that, and then change the size to, nice and big. Look what happens. It starts shifting everything around. Right? The text jumps down. Now we can do a baseline shift and all that, but that kind of tends to be difficult to do. So instead of doing that, we're going to cheat. I'm going to undo. I'm just going to make another letter. Okay? I'm going to actually delete the W there. Put an extra space in there. Maybe 2 spaces in there. Then I'm going to just use the text tool and just make a letter. I'm just going to make a letter and eyeball it. So we got my W there. I didn't like that font. I wish I had the Andy Warhol font. There is an Andy Warhol font. There is. I didn't download it in time. But there we go. We got a nice kind of letter. And look, I just lined it up like that. I even like it going out into the column a little bit. So again, instead of trying to just make the letter of the first letter, I'm actually cheating and putting a new piece of text in front. I mean, that seemed to be the easiest way for me. And I'm going to change the color. There we go. And maybe give it a stroke even. Let's give it a black stroke. Ooh, that doesn't look good. Maybe if I give it a different font. So again, try not to stress too much. Whoosh, that's no good. Try not to stress too much about... Ooh, that's actually kind of interesting there. I'm trying to get it to fit in there. Ooh, the bubble thing. That's kind of cool. I just did it as a separate piece instead of incorporating it. Now, this is only one poster, one page. The problem you would run into with this is if you were making more than one page and you needed the text to go from flow from one to the other, you might run into problems, and so I don't know. But again, I just made it as one separate file. And of course, this doesn't look right. This is a different font than this. What is this? Verdana. So how can I make this font right here the same as this? Using which tool?
Select.
Select? Great idea. But it's not the way I'm going to do it. Okay. I believe the eyedropper will actually work with fonts. If I select the text here and I use the eyedropper, I believe this works, and I click on this text right here, it'll make the other text above the same as that one. Do you see that? So again, I selected, this one was different than this one. So I selected this one and used remember the eyedropper sucks up colors, but not only does it suck up colors, it sucked up the formatting of the text. Because I don't want to have to try and remember what's line height, with font size and all that. Okay, so again, the eyedropper is one way to go. But now, of course, I have too much text in there. Notice I have my little red little thing in there. I don't know. Let me delete some. I'm going to cheat a little bit. Just delete some text out of here. Here we go. There we go. Uh-oh. Hold on 1 second. Too much. I deleted too much. Too much. Oh. Oh, okay. We want to just kind of get rid of some of this. Oh. That looks better. Woo. Okay, go ahead.
So the eyedropper doesn't just pick up color, but it does the
Formatting.
size, so the whole format.
The formatting, yes.
So like the type of font and the size.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Everything.
Okay.
Look, even the paragraph thing, right?
Oh wow. Okay.
So we need to fix that because I don't want that there. So I'd go back to the paragraph tool and put this back to 0. That doesn't look good like that because it's not part of this. But that looks better like that. Wow. My poster's coming along. Can you imagine? Who thought Andy Warhol would be so much fun?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so last thing I might do, because we're running out of time here today, I got to leave just a little early. Is I might make something special. Yes.
How exactly did you make that W? Like, I mean, how do you make it 2 different shades? Is that just one of the fonts?
It's a specific font. You mean with the black and red?
No, the white and red.
The white part is part of the font itself. It's called Bubble.
Just shadows.
Hmm?
Shadows.
Oh, that's right. So the pictures look. Oh, look at this. This is spacing's been messed up here. Plus, we need to do a couple other things. So, of course, one of the problems that you're going to run into is linking. I failed to talk about that. Remember, we placed some of these images in here, and they're linked to the original. So instead of having linking problems, it's best to embed the images into your document. So I'm going to go underneath Window Links, and when I start looking at the images here, you'll notice that, oh jeez, let me close this. Why is Artboard linked to that? Let me make this bigger so you can see it. You'll notice some of them have this little icon here. I think they're all embedded for some reason. Let's see. Oh, they are embedded. I don't know why it's not linking. Maybe I might have changed the preference. But right now, they're embedded. How do I know that? Is by clicking here. You can see it says unembed. Click on a picture, say unembed. But traditionally, if you place an image, I don't know why it's not doing this. If I place an image, let's say from here, we wanted to use this one. Place it in. Yeah, it's embedding all of them right now. I don't know why. But usually it would link them. Maybe it's a new feature. I don't know. But a lot of times you run into problems. You guys all probably ran into that when you were embedding your image from your animal, right? Remember we did that? So I don't know why it's not doing that. But if you I guess what I'm trying to say is make sure you have this kind of icon with each of your images. You can see that under images, under links right here. And that way you don't have problems with linking. So that doesn't seem to be a problem right now. What was I going to do? Linking. Oh, the last thing I'm going to do is kind of, remember, I want you to draw something that's in the artist's style, right? These are all just images, but you really need to, I want you to incorporate some art into your project. I want you to draw something. Yes?
Okay, are you saying there's something special about the fact that they're black in the W?
Oh, that's right, we're going to put black. What are your question?
The big W, you said there was something, is there something special about the fact that it was black in the outline?
I add a stroke to the font.
How do you do that?
It's just select the object, and stroke is this one right here. Okay, oh, we want to have a frame around our picture, right? Okay, you wanted a drop shadow behind yours? I mean, you can put the drop shadow in the same way that you can put under the effects. Under effects, you have stylize drop shadow there, and you can preview that. But look what it does to your thing. It adds, you know, an extra space around your picture. But if that, you might have to then go and change and adjust the spacing around it. Yes?
When you were making the first text on the left side, how did you duplicate it to make the same size on the right side?
After you draw your text and put your text in there, you'll see the little plus at the bottom right here. See this little plus down here? Use the black arrow. You click on the plus itself, and then find a new location and just click. It should make another column the same size. So I don't know, drop shadow. Usually what I would do is I'd like to put a line around my picture so it has like a little frame. And all I usually do is I cheat, just like I did with the W. I make a rectangle with no fill and just a stroke, and kind of just draw it right over top of my picture, like that. Now, of course, try and line it up, and maybe make it a little bigger. There we go. And of course, make it fit. There we go. So, you know, that kind of helps it frame your picture a little bit if you want. Again, all I did was draw a rectangle over top of it. And then you might have to adjust the spacing there. You might have to select both of them right here. And then move it over a little bit. No. 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 Okay. How can I select these two things? That was this, and then my new line, this, and I might move it over a little bit, just a little bit, so the things are lined up. So really look in detail. You really need to think about aligning things properly. Really look at the detail of aligning things. It's important that everything is aligned nicely. Spacing of text. Oops, how did I get no fill here? And it was 3 points, I think, 3 pixels. There we go. Okay, nice and align everything. Super important. Cheat a little bit there. There we go. It makes me want to miss Michael. We miss Michael Jackson, don't we? All miss Michael Jackson. Okay, last thing I'm gonna do. Again, I did some black lines. We got some text wrapping. I might make. You remember, you need to draw something in the artist's style. So you need to draw something. You know, don't just use the pictures. So since I'm doing Andy Warhol, I might just make a crazy background. Might lock these so I don't mess with them, and I might just go and Andy Warhol did all kinds of crazy things, didn't he? So maybe make a background for my images here. Maybe a little rectangle, maybe a little polygon. Oops, too saturated. Really subtle. And then maybe a triangle. How do we make triangles? 3-sided triangle. Maybe that. And what else could we make? Circle. And then maybe, don't we have any other shapes here? Star. There we go. There There we go. Uh-oh, this is not far enough in the corner up here. Make that a little bigger. This. Ooh, I like this shape. There we go. And this one, there we go. Then you don't like looking at it like that, and you want to kind of rearrange things. Maybe I should make that one. And then you don't like it how all these crazy shapes I made for the background are kind of going outside the artboard. So what you can do is something called clipping mask. Who's done a clipping mask inside of Photoshop before? Okay. It's the same thing, clipping mask. Clipping mask is a way of hiding an area. So right now, I made some crazy background, right? With just some crazy shapes. But I don't like how it's coming outside the artboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to delete those shapes. I'm just going to hide them outside the artboard so I can see what it's going to look like. To do that, I'm going to make a rectangle. I'm going to make a rectangle. Over top of the part I want to keep, which is basically the whole artboard. So I'm going to draw a rectangle over top of everything that I want to keep. When I'm done doing that, I'm going to select all my objects. Select all my objects. Notice how I select things in the layer window. Look at that. You can select things in the layer window using the Command Shift click. Then to do the layer mask is under Object, Clipping Mask. I'm sorry. What did I just say? Did I say clipping mask first? I said clipping mask first, right? I don't know why I was saying layer mask. Clipping mask. Okay, it's under Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And anything outside that rectangle I just made is going to be invisible. Okay. Then, of course, I want to present this without my guidelines so I can see what it's going to look like. To hide the guidelines, to hide my guideline, this is a presenting mode over here, normal bar with a menu thing. And under View Guidelines, I could say Hide Guidelines. They're still there, they're just hidden. And then I could zoom in and see what my final project's going to look like. And so I have some crazy colors in the background. Remember, they're subtle enough that I can read my text. No, I did it really fast. You'll hopefully spend some time and really think about how the things work together.
Why the circle didn't come?
It's hidden. Which circle?
Oh, the new pointer.
It's just I'm rolling my mouse over. Those things are just, it's called a clipping mask. It hides anything that's outside the object. But in general, I mean, this is a really nice poster. I'd love to print it out. Let's just wait till next class and I'll talk a little bit about printing it and where you want to print it and all that stuff. Really told somebody I need to go and deal with some problems right now. Why don't you work on your thing for a little bit and I'll be back in about 20 minutes. Is that cool? You guys cool for now?